You're now tuning in to the Ambitious Views podcast, where we share unique perspectives on storytelling within film and television from the past, present, and future. We're here for a good time, not a long time. So let's get to it. What's up, ambitious listeners? Welcome back to another episode of the Ambitious Views podcast. I'm your good host, Corrigan, and this is my great co-host.
What's up? It's Blaze. Hey,
Yo, what's up, Blaze? How you doing?
I am great. I had 3 lovely days off. Got to go back to work tomorrow, but
Wow,
yeah, I
everybody
had
had
too much time, so I had to take some time off.
really.
Yeah. Plus, I got to work Saturday, do orientation Saturday. So, I mean, technically, I was only off 2 days.
Hey man, that sounds like a time and a half to me.
Right.
Top time.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Today was my weekend eve because I will be off this coming Friday for our fifth anniversary.
It's your anniversary. Hey,
Hey,
yay. Come on, 5 years.
yeah, 5 years married, 8 years together.
Oh,
So we gonna be taking out some time, enjoying full day on Friday, and then we got some plans to head on out for a vacation.
all
For
right. Where y'all going?
we're heading out to Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're gonna be heading out to Disney World, and so really looking forward to it. And some other cool things while we'll be down there too. So really excited, really looking forward to it. Need the break. Because it's been a while since we even done had like a little mini um vacation that we try to fit in here and there. So it's definitely way overdue. So but yeah, but that's I'm definitely down with that. Self-care, taking off. We definitely need that, Blaze. Definitely need it. So
You do need that. And congratulations on 5 years.
appreciate it. Appreciate it. So really happy. It's been a long time coming, a lot of growth, and super
Oh,
happy.
growth.
Yes, growth. Blaze, we finally get to talk about Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse.
We get to talk about Spider-Man.
Oh man, we finally get to talk about it. Of
I
course,
know, I know.
of
It's been a
course,
long time coming, but we here.
yeah. Yeah, we finally here. I'm glad, for the people that's probably been waiting, like, okay, I know y'all be talking about stuff, but y'all just not gonna talk about it. It's been on our plate. We just say, hey,
It's on a
man, it
plate. Yeah.
got a little cold. We took it out, we warmed it up, we took it out again, still to eat it, had to warm it up again. So we finally checked it out. So I believe last week Blaze checked it out last week, and then I was able to finally watch it last night. And so this episode will be mainly about our experience of checking out Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so I
I even
feel
have to wear
like
my Spider-Man shirt.
see you
I,
did you threw it back. You threw it back to the 90s, which is what I grew up on. I really love that. I actually kind of briefly started that maybe earlier this year, but I haven't finished it because I was watching X-Men, the X-Men 90s cartoon as well. And I'm almost done with that, but I've been starting and stopping whatever, and that may give me something to jump on during the break and stuff like that. So, but anyway, um for our listeners, that's what we're going to be taking our time and jumping on today. Of course, we have to go through our good old this or that, and then we got a couple little headlines that came across my eyesight, and I want to, talk about it just a little bit, and then we're going to jump on into the Spider Verse. So, without further ado, we're going to be jumping on into the this or that, and it's my turn this week. So, I really feel like I'm gonna have Blaze thinking with this one.
okay. We'll see.
Is dealing with Spider-Man stuff because why
Okay.
not? You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, so here we go, Blaze. So as you know, when it comes to great superhero stories, one of the main important components that you must have to make it a great story is a great villain or arch nemesis or whatever the case may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a particular villain that pops up in Across the Spider-Verse. All right. Some people may say it's more than one, but we're going to focus on one and we're going to pull from the other one. Okay. So sometimes, I feel like what makes a great villain is when it's not black and white of like, oh, bad guy, bad girl, whatever, they gotta go, right? And so I will say when it comes to Spider-Man specifically, they do a great job of creating villains that are not just black and white. They give us the why, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how we got, Venom and Morbius and Craven. Like we just get to know the whys. All right. So Blaze.
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
So say you were in the Spider-Verse or whatever, whether you're a Spider-Woman or you're like a doctor, psychiatrist, whatever, and you had the opportunity to help one of these two villains, which one would you pick? You have to help and you have to forgive them for whatever they've done because initially there were other things that led up to that. Okay. Either you
Okay.
have to help Spot
Okay.
or Harry Osborn as the current Green Goblin. Which one would you help and forgive first?
Ooh, okay. So as you were explaining, and when you said villains, I was like Green Goblin, Green Goblin. For anything that you ask, it's going to be Green Goblin. So I'm happy to say that the answer is still going to be Green Goblin, and I'll explain why.
Oh,
So I am in grad school, student affairs, and college counseling, and so since I'm going into that counseling field, I really feel for those people, that have those mental health issues that they're dealing with. So I would definitely want to work with the Green Goblin because even though his actions are wrong, he just needs some help.
mm-hmm.
And so I would definitely be willing to be that doctor to help him through what he's going through, to hopefully get him to stop his villain streak with Spider-Man. Um, the last Spider-Man really hit that home. Like he was good, and then suddenly, those voices in his head got to him. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that he would be easier to work with than Spot because Spot is filled with so much rage, and it'll be harder to get Spot to understand like what happened to you does suck, but taking it out on a child is not the best idea. And that's like great words, but easier said than done. His whole life is completely ruined. So all he's thinking right now is revenge, revenge, revenge. And so I would rather work with the Green Goblin because I feel like there's going to be more longevity in helping him than with Spot, who's not. He's probably going to put me in a spot and I disappear. So
that
yeah.
was a good one. That was a good one. Well, cool, 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 cool. Well, yeah, that's dope. That's a dope answer. Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I can see that. Like you said, there was a little bit more. It's just you have to almost kind of choose safety out of the situation as well. It's just like, am I going to take my chances with someone who's technically human, who has a little bit of super strength, but you can possibly talk to or talk things out with, or someone who could put you somewhere, anywhere, and you stuck and scared. So I can
Yeah.
see that. I can definitely see that, and I will say, again, I think that's what I appreciate. With just a Spider-Man like universe and arcs as much as I do, just because I feel like, especially with this current villain that's going on now, it really shows that in order to make a really great superhero film or just any film where there's like a good versus evil thing, like the best thing and the most realistic thing at times is to create a character who is sometimes, I guess a victim of circumstances around them, and it's just they just making things work with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's true life in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people that people want to claim bad or stuff they've done. It's just like, well, think about the situation that they were in, and if you was in that situation, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
so okay, Blaze, okay,
Mhm.
cool.
That was a good one. I like that question.
Cool. I'm glad I did a good job. I'm glad I did a good job.
You did a little something, something.
A little something. Sister Blaze, what's on your watch list? What you been checking out these past couple of tough weeks?
Honestly, not much, because like I said earlier, grad school.
Hmm.
But I did go see Across the Spider-Verse last Friday. And then I just started class of '09.
Mm,
And the only reason why I went ahead and started that is because I finished, because I didn't want to start anything until I finished another season of The Circle. And so I
yeah.
finished season 4.
Hmm.
Now I just got one more left. And so I was like, oh, I can start class of '09, which is really good so far. Um, it's on Hulu.
Hmm.
It's told in 3 different time periods, like the past, so '09, the present, 2023, and then the future, 2043, I think. Yeah,
Wow.
it's wow. Because at first I was like, okay, so the past and the present. Oh wait, the future too. And it's really interesting because you get to see this FBI class where they started, where they are now in the present, and then where they are going to be in the future. And what I've noticed each episode is that you can't, like, for me, the second episode, I consider that to be like the biggest plot given episode. We learn a lot about Brian, is it Brian Tyree Henry or Brian Henry Tyree? I think it's Brian Henry. But we learn a lot about his character, Michael Teo, and he's like in the future, he is the director of the FBI. But in the
Mm,
second episode, in the past, he's struggling with trying to pass the fitness test. And if you
mm.
don't pass the fitness test, you get kicked out the FBI. And so it's interesting to see, like, here he is in '09 struggling with this. And if only they knew years later, he's going to be the director of the FBI. But there's also like his ideology behind things. You start to kind of see it in '09, and then there's this situation that happens in the present in 2023. And so when you get to the future and you see how the world is, it's like, wait a minute, I get where you was coming from in '09, but the way that you have elevated that, it escalated quickly. So it's definitely different than what I thought it was gonna be. I don't even know what I thought it was gonna be at this point, but it's really good. First 2 episodes in, and I'm excited to see where the show takes me.
Cool. Yeah, I remember you mentioning it a while back, and maybe that's something, depending on how things go, based on things that's getting thrown at us now. Um, if we'll be able to jump on to, do reflection, but maybe we will on down the line, like a special episode or something, to like briefly talk about. But it sounds very interesting. I never did watch a trailer, I don't believe, but I was interested in just the name of it to see what it was about. So it's very cool to see that it's living up to the hype. So
It is. It is.
so that's dope. That's dope.
What's on your watch list?
So, like you said, Spider-Man movie that just recently came out. And we attempted to try to go back and finish Assassination Classroom. I mentioned a while back that we only had one more season. It's only 2 seasons. And we found out that it was on what was it on? Oh, it was on Crunchyroll. And so we finally got to check it out, and we've been trying, but to be honest, it's extremely slow. Like
Mhm.
It's, like I mentioned before, I think it's like it kind of used the old school style of telling cartoon stories as if like Dexter's laboratory. You always know Dexter has a laboratory, so something's gonna be related to his laboratory, his science, whatever case may be. But every episode is gonna be different in the way that it includes that portion of the story. And
Mhm.
it's that, but it's just like it's getting to the point now, like this is anime and like this is adult, like we're adults aware of like this. Like, can we get to the point now? Like it feels very filler-ish to a certain degree.
Oh,
It doesn't feel
I hate
like,
filler.
yeah, it doesn't make me feel like I need to see these things. Like, do I feel like, can I skip, So
Mhm.
kind of slow right now, but I was talking ironically today, I was in one of the other departments dropping off some notebooks before I got off, and a student that has been wanting to see what my thoughts were on the ending of it asked, had I finished? I was like, no, I haven't finished. It's been slow. She was like, yeah, it's gonna be kind of slow, but it's intentional or whatever. So I was like, okay, we're gonna try to push through because I would love to finally go back and actually finish up One Punch Man season two. And then if we don't get into the third season of, because we both definitely need to get into Demon Slayer, the newest season. If not, go straight into that. Finally, try Attack on Titan because I've heard a lot about it and it's currently finishing up, I believe, too. So, but yeah, so that's all that I really got and stuff like that. So just mainly hoping to finally push on through and finish Assassination Classroom. I guess depending on how we feel, honestly, tonight, maybe we may watch a couple episodes before bed. Maybe we'll see. So, because they're pretty quick episodes, which that's a good thing. So,
Okay. And speaking of anime, I know Netflix did their little event where they reveal all the new stuff that's coming. And one anime, I think it's called One Piece.
did you hear me, Blaze?
What'd you say?
Dumb.
Yeah. One Piece is getting a live action movie, I think. And so if you're a fan of One Piece, that's something to look forward to. And then I don't know if Avatar is considered anime or not, but that's getting another live action. So hopefully it's better than the first live action. They get it right this time.
Yeah.
Also, Corgan has never watched Avatar before. I just want to throw that out. Sorry, but like that's wow.
Wow. Yes, that is true. Um, AV peeps. I have not watched Avatar, the animated series,
It's
because I'm
good.
pretty sure by the time it came out, I was full out Disney. I left Nickelodeon and did not look back. And
Well, I'm gonna
so,
need you to look back and watch Avatar.
no, it's been on my list. It's been on both of our lists, and we may go ahead and jump on that pretty soon. Um, because I've heard great things about it for it to be on Nickelodeon. I'm like you said, I don't know if the anime people consider it an anime, but a lot of people do like it as if it is. So
I
um
will say that one thing I've noticed about a lot of Nickelodeon shows since they put them on Netflix is that a lot of them did not age as well, or they just weren't, they didn't. I question why I watched it, but Avatar is not one of those. Avatar is like, it's still good.
wow. Okay. Okay, well, we'll see. Yeah, it's definitely on our list. We've been thinking about. I know Audra, she had never watched the cartoon, but she's watched the live action, and I know
Oh
her and
no, erase that from her memory.
yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna get on it and stuff, and I I'm gonna have to add some of my students and other people who are into One Piece and stuff like that because One Piece has been on my list, but One Piece has been going for a very long time. And
Oh,
they have,
is it?
oh yeah, if I'm not mistaken, let me look real quick. One Piece has been going since 1999.
Oh Lord.
And so yeah, so I'm it's like it's kind of like I almost feel like let me watch all of the anime I've been wanting to watch
Yeah,
that seems popular.
that's the
And
last
then
one
jump
that
into
we'll
it,
try.
you
Yeah.
know. But it does kind of seem kind of, like those older shows, like it kind of give me a vibe of like I feel like it's an easy passive watch to where you can watch other things, and then if you're just chilling, you can just throw it on and just be in the mix. But you want to have that respect on anime because it has the storytelling and you don't want to miss out on the good stuff.
Right.
So yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna watch the live action or I'm gonna try to just hold off and finally watch I don't know. I don't know what I'm, or maybe watch the live action and then go into the cartoon. I don't know because it's been going on for a long time. Um, but yeah, but yeah, like really good stuff that's out there. I know that Secret Invasions dropped today on
Okay.
Disney Plus, and I really look forward to seeing that as well. I've heard really great things on the first two episodes. It's only one today, but I heard it's really grounded, really heavy. Samuel Jackson to be the lead on that, and I heard the villain
Hmm.
is really strong. For those of you who are not really familiar with it, basically this is however many years later from the Captain Marvel movie, and it's dealing with the species or the people that's called the Skrulls, and basically some of them have came to Earth, and they have been basically impersonating being other individuals on Earth. So literally, we never know who's going to be who. And I'm interested to see is there going to be a big thing of like, yeah, you thought this was really the superhero, but actually this was a scroll the whole entire time. So
That sounds like a show we like.
what's that one?
It's on Max.
So Max, which one?
Stars John Cena.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Peacemaker. Yeah, yeah. I will say it is original. It is out of comic books. Because apparently I think some really bad things happen in the comic books. So
Oh
that's what
Lord.
yeah, so that's why I'm very interested to see how far this goes. But I think it got pretty bad in the comic books. So
Funny
uh
story about Secret Invasion. So my brother was here from Memphis the other weekend for Father's Day.
mhm.
And my dad was like, are you gonna watch that? Are you gonna watch the invasion? Are you gonna watch the invasion? And my brother was like, what are you talking about? You've made this show up. It does not exist. And my dad was like, let me show it to you. And so he pulled up Disney Plus and he tried to bring it up and he couldn't bring it up.
Oh man.
And I was like, well, first of all, it's called Secret Invasion and it ain't dropped yet. So Secret Invasion is a real show, okay, you guys?
Yes, it is. I'm also interested to see is it gonna lead to the more seriousness or darker side of leading into Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because it's been fun all in, it's been all fun and everything, Shang-Chi and the internals and all this stuff like that. But we're not too far away from getting into the Kang Dynasty and then leading into Secret Wars. So
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna be getting Loki later on this fall, and we've already got a sneak peek of Kang appearing in the Loki season 2. So I think it's about to get real, and I'm interested to see how things are gonna go. So, but we're gonna move on to the real take because, like I said, we're getting ready to go into the Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse. But just a couple of things, additional things, I guess, because we almost kind of got into the real take in a sense. So, a couple other things, or a few other things that came up that I thought was pretty cool to talk about briefly was Priscilla, Blaze, and I just watched the trailer for that. I think A24 just dropped the trailer today, and they're the production house for the film, and it's basically a film based off a novel called Elvis and Me, I believe. And it seems like a very unique, grounded take of following Priscilla's life and going through her experience or whatever of being of meeting Elvis as a young girl to
Mhm.
becoming married and all that stuff like that. And so, especially following up the film Elvis, I'm very interested to see how this is gonna go. I will say, out of stuff that oddly enough pops up around the same time, kind of like Ants and Bugs Life and stuff
Mhm.
like that. I'm very interested to see this, honestly. I think I do want to check it out, especially because I feel like A24 does a really great job with telling very like heavy, well, not heavy, does a great job with telling character driven.
Character driven. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your POV on the trailer? Like, how do you feel about it, Blaze?
Um, I am interested in her perspective. Like, I just kind of want to know where she's coming from because the trailer that we saw, there weren't there. It was more like a montage of
Yeah,
actions and things, and
yeah,
so I just want to. I'm more interested in what the perspective is of the movie, and I guess I could read the book to find that out too. But that's kind of what I was thinking the whole time while I was viewing it.
yeah, yeah. It's gonna be very interesting, I feel. I'm pretty sure it's gonna create possibly a lot of conversations depending on what platforms it ends up being on because sometimes with these type of projects um you know people may or may not it may or may not be a heavy crowd to go to the theaters to see it, but depending on what platform as far as streaming service is going to be on, I'm interested to see what people's experience is going to be or their thoughts on it when it comes out. So I
I'm not
definitely
looking forward to people being like, wasn't there just an Elvis movie and da da da? I'm like, okay, yeah, it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
but this is out. Either you're gonna go see it or you not.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this could basically telling her perspective and hopefully as close to her true perspective as possible. This
Mhm.
could this I could see this being an easy add-on to making a film dang near 3 hours, or over 3 hours long. So I do feel like this, out of other things that we do see, out of remakes and all this stuff like that, I do believe that this is a relevant thing to be producing and coming out. I am interested to see. I am interested in knowing when did they produce this. Was this like in the works at the same time and they had to wait?
Mhm.
Like that's always the interesting thing when it comes to projects like this. So I'm very interested to see. Another thing that we checked out as far as a trailer that was very thrilling was Craven Blaze.
Mhm.
How did you feel about Brother Craven coming to the screen? Yeah,
I thought it was very violent. I was like, okay. I mean, I know he's supposed to be basically like an animal or essentially, but still, it was a lot. It was a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I was,
But it does look interesting, and I always enjoy when Marvel or when DC when they do movies that's from the quote unquote villain's perspective because like I think you said this earlier.
yeah,
I think you said it before. Like hearing or getting the villain side of things helps us to understand the stories much better. And okay, yeah, you said it about Spider-Man. Like they have good villains because we get to see both sides. It's not just here's a bad guy and the superhero is going to stop them. And so that's kind of why I'm interested in Craven because he's considered a villain and so we get to see his backstory. And I wonder what they'll do with him post his movie.
yeah. I think a lot of people have been waiting for them to do something along the lines of Sinister Six,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. I mean, at this point, you got. I'm trying to remember the guys. What was the guy's name that the villain in the first Tom Holland film? What was the villain's name in
And
that?
the and which one?
Uh, uh, Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh, I don't remember Homecoming.
It's like the Falcon or the not Falcon. It was it was something with the bird because Michael Keaton, I believe, plays him.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember Michael Keaton in it. Vulture.
Vulture. So Vulture is now in that it went from, I guess like the Marvel canon to like the Sony Marvel canon because he ran into Morbius. So you got Morbius, you got Vulture, you have uh um dang it, what is his name? You have
You talking about Jake Gyllenhaal's one?
no, you have Venom, you have Electro, I believe, and then you have um Rhino,
Hmm.
and then now we're getting Craven, which I can't remember who all was a part of the Sinister Six. Oh, and technically you got I don't know why I'm forgetting the lizard's name, but basically you got the lizard as well. But because all of those kind of fit into the Amazing Spider-Man universe, which again, going back to last episode when you was mentioning who, like I would love to see um the Amazing Spider-Man uh like another film or one or two, and literally he's having a battle like all of them or one of those characters. Like that would be crazy because all of the great villains that Sony is producing stories about right now, like that's what I grew up on with the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. So and there's a lot you can do with it because it was like Blade popped up in one episode one time. And I
Oh,
think
cool.
yeah, and I think the craziest thing though, I will say based on the Craven trailer, I thought he took a serum. I don't remember him getting bitten by a
That
lion.
would, and I'm happy you said that because when I saw that part, I was like, what the?
Yeah,
No. But then also you think about rabies, so I guess it could be possible. But I would have rather seen like him take a serum.
yeah. I always thought he just took a serum and he was like just really strong and then had animal instincts. But yeah, so shout out to Craven. He's coming in hard. I'm ready to see that. Um and just going through, a few more. So apparently Disney's preparing to do another live action film. They have announced that Questlove, who is a great musician, is going to be directing the live action of the Aristocats. So that's an oldie goodie. That's another one I grew up on. And at first I was kind of surprised, but then, I just was like, well, if you think about the musical piece to it, I was like, true, there was a pretty good amount of music in it. So I'm very interested to see um how that goes. Blaze, did you ever watch Aristocats growing up?
I think I watched Aristocrats growing up, but honestly, I get that confused with the movie Cats, but also this Disney Channel movie. This Disney Channel movie called Alley Cat Strikes, which ain't got nothing to
Oh
do with
yeah, it's a classic Disney Channel movie.
it is, but it's about bowling, not
Not
cats.
cats at all. I don't even know if
So
it's a pet.
I don't really remember Aristocrats like that.
Yeah, so cool. So we're gonna see what happens with that. Another thing that I saw that seemed pretty cool was Trevor Noah is finally has a move that's public now that he's signed a deal with Spotify to do a weekly podcast. It seems like, and I got this information via OK Africa on Instagram. And it seems like it's going to be just pretty cool conversations with him and different individuals, which I feel that um, it should definitely be dope because I feel like he does a really great job with he used to make a really great job making his guests comfortable enough to really have great
Mm-hmm.
conversations. And he adds value to the conversation when being had. So definitely looking forward to that. And Blaze don't know this, but I am extremely excited that they finally announced today that Issa Rae's Project Greenlight on HBO, aka Max, will be airing July 23rd. I have been waiting for this since they announced it. I may be wrong, but I feel like they announced this before the pandemic happened. I may be wrong. And so I'm extremely excited to finally see this. For those of you who are not familiar with the reality show Project Greenlight, It is a reality show or a unique take on a reality show when it comes to basically following a filmmaker that won a competition, a director's competition with the company HBO. And basically, they will have X amount of time to produce a feature film. And so you kind of get to see this individual who most of the time is like a mid-level to like up and coming director, and they'll have the opportunity to be advised by other creatives and filmmakers and actors on their journey as they as they direct their first movie. And so the
So
unique,
cool.
yeah, really cool. Um, the unique thing about Issa's this time is that it's going to be all about women this time. And so this is only about women, and I'm hoping not saying his name wrong, but Kamal, who was a really great actor. He was one of the entertaining actors on Eternals, if you all
Mm-hmm.
remember that. So he was one of the Eternals. And Gina Prince Bythewood. I didn't even know she was going to be on this. And so I'm even more excited because I know like people are weird about saying favorite directors, but this sister is one of my favorite directors, top three, top three. So, and if you're not familiar with her work, her first big one was Love and Basketball. And then she went on to do Beyond the Lights, which is my favorite romantic
Your
film.
favorite movie?
Oh, and then also she did Old Guard, which is a super dope action film on
Oh,
net.
really? I didn't know she did. Oh,
Oh
God.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like that movie.
yeah. It was really dope. And the consistent thing about all three of them, all of them have good soundtracks, great soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
so yeah, but they I guess between Kamal and Gina, they're going to be like co-advisors along with Issa being in the space as well, which is pretty normal in a sense because in the previous ones it's always been Ben Affleck and Matt Damon who act as like producers slash advisors to whoever the director is to make sure everything goes well outside of who is the actual like director that's on set, making sure everything is fine and everything. So, to kind of give you a taste, I highly recommend checking out the recent season that's on Max. For some reason, I think it's only one season on there, and I think it's season four. And that can kind of give you an idea of how real it gets and giving you a idea of just how movies are made in a sense. So,
I'm excited. I've never watched this show before.
yeah.
And so when I saw it pop up, because I follow Issa, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting, but I'm excited to watch that because I think that's dope to get the behind the scenes
Mhm.
aspect. You know, we always have the music shows and stuff, or like even the baking shows. And so
Mhm.
it's cool to have something for filmmakers.
Yes, definitely. And I will say I definitely want to like kind of follow it. I don't know if it's going to be a weekly thing or not, or if it's all going to be all at one time. But I definitely want to follow that journey for that filmmaker. And I don't have the name of the filmmaker because they went on and pretty much announced who won the competition to be the main person, which I was surprised about, but it kind of doesn't matter. Um,
Right.
yeah, because I mean they're still going to introduce the other filmmakers or whatever, and so I'm definitely gonna have the name in there, but I definitely plan on, having a briefing if hopefully over each episode, or if it's all at one time, we'll watch it all and then talk about it. So but who knows? Maybe we can get them on the podcast and talk about the experience. Who knows? So
Yeah, that'd be nice.
yes. So but without further ado, listeners, it's that time to jump on into Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I know y'all been waiting. I hope that y'all not burnt out on other people's opinions and y'all enjoy our perspective on this. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. First off, Blaze, I want to get your perspective on your thoughts when it first started. It didn't start on the main character and
Hmm.
everything. So what was going through your mind at the beginning right there and just how it kind of launched and took us on into the story? What was your feelings about it?
I was like, this is different, but you know, she kept repeating the same line. What was it? he's not the only one. He's not the only one. And I was like, okay, I get why they set it up like this. And so because the first movie was all about Miles, in order to kind of understand where Gwen was coming from, we had no choice but to start with her. And
Mhm,
then plus her story is how we got into um the overall story of this particular movie. And
mhm.
so I preferred that than them trying to just start with Miles, because then the whole time we would have just been questioning how she get linked up with these people and da 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 da. And so I enjoyed them showing it. And also it helped drop like little nuggets and stuff for later stuff that was gonna happen in the movie.
True, true. I felt that it was very unique. They even took a different animation approach to
Yeah.
especially between her and her dad, those moments at times.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel like that was very unique and I wasn't expecting it, to be honest. And I felt like it was a very bold and creative way to let us know what's going on. So like Blake said, we don't have to go back and they don't have to explain things or whatever, but it was very bold.
It was
Um,
very bold.
yeah, yeah.
Many
And
times watching this movie and even watching the first one, I'm like, this is this is a cartoon movie, so people automatically think a kids movie. But I'm like, this movie is so beyond being a kids movie, because I feel like as adults we see it starting off with Gwen and we like, okay, you telling us a story here. But like little kids maybe like, where's Miles? Where's Spider-Man? You know?
yeah, yeah.
So I agree. It was a very bold choice, but I mean, it worked very well.
Yes, yes. It almost kind of goes into, and I'll kind of probably tackle on this or come back to that, my thought at closer to the end, but I feel like it kind of shows the theme of me personally. I feel like this film was more of a setup for the third one
Yep.
instead of being the film. Even if they was gonna do another one, I just feel like there was just a lot of things
Hmm.
that was set up for
And
that.
those movies are the hardest ones, I feel like, for them to create and to write.
Mm,
Movies that set up the next one, because you want it to be interesting, you want it to be worth
yes,
watching,
yes,
but also we got to throw a lot of stuff at you.
yes. So you'll be mentally prepared. So you won't be like, what happened? And I think a good example for those who are into Harry Potter, I feel like Half Blood
I was
Prince.
thinking Harry Potter too.
Yeah, yeah. Half Blood Prince was definitely that movie where it's like,
Hmm.
I'm gonna watch it because I'm into Harry, but like, until we get to the end, and of course, we know what happens with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely was a setup for me. And I really love how the moments with her and her dad, it was like full circle all the way back around close to the end. And so
Mhm.
I'm very like I said, I was very impressed with how they did that. I can't think of the name of the character at the moment, but I really love how they incorporated Issa's character. I was really
Oh yeah.
anytime they like people bring in stars, man, I get Jessica Drew. Anytime they bring in stars and well-known people to be to play characters, man, I always it's like, are you gonna force it? And I'm gonna be like, this is Issa, but you know,
Right.
did a really great job. Like
Hmm.
I really was feeling Jessica Drew. She was
Same.
cool.
Like it's like I knew that was Issa's voice, but I wasn't like Issa. Um,
Right,
she
right.
felt like Jessica Drew.
Yes, yes, definitely. It's kind of one of those things, how we knew, Beyonce was going to play Nala and it sounded like Beyonce.
Right. Because when I watched that movie and Simba said Nyla, I said Beyonce.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Like, yeah, it was very dope how they incorporated that. Um, and I will say that going into the film, I was very I ain't gonna lie. I usually don't try to be like this, but I was very like, I don't believe this is gonna be as great as people said it was. I feel like it's gonna be really good, but I don't feel like it's gonna be as great as people said it was. And I will say that it is a really great animated film, um, and stuff. But I wonder how intentional was it for them to focus on almost literally everybody else's character development but Miles in this film,
Mm-hmm.
especially with it being so long since we've seen him in action and everything like that, and he was even growing and becoming who he is right now in the first place. But I really like they did a really great job giving us a background on literally almost every single person around.
And I love that
Hmm.
because the movie is called Across the Spider Verse.
Hmm. Hmm.
So the first one, Into the Spider Verse, we got into it through Miles, but now we learning about other Spider-Mans, and so I enjoyed that aspect of this movie of learning about all the different Spider-Mans because it kind of just reinforces the idea that this isn't necessarily Miles movie or Miles trilogy or whatever, however many movies they make of this.
Hmm.
It's Spider-Man
Yeah,
in whichever universe they go into.
yeah,
And they
yeah,
all and now that the in the first movie, since it was kind of impacted, their lives all influence each other's. And
yeah.
so we have to know them.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like I said, like for them to balance so many characters, I feel like that just shows how great of writing this film was more than anything. Like the writing in the show was really great, and I feel like it carried the story really well, um, because I always kind of kept on wondering, like, because unfortunately, it was already sport for me. People was telling me like, oh yeah, it's gonna be a to be continued. So
Oh dang.
it's like the
I try
last,
not to spoil it to you. I just said
yeah,
that the way that it ended, I want to fight them. That's all I said.
yeah. No, when you said that, I already knew, like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I already said it. So,
But I
um,
love that kind of reinforced like the comic book aspect
true. That's
of
true.
the way that the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is created.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So, like when we talk about different characters and stuff like that, what character or characters really, stood out to you as far as like one of the most interesting?
I mean, I think the easiest choice would definitely be Punk Spider-Man.
Which Spider-Man?
Punk Spider-Man, the
Oh, uh,
because he was Hobie, is it Hobie or
yeah,
Hobie?
Hobie, who
Yeah,
was actually played
he
by
was
Daniel
the super
Hobie.
cool person.
Yeah,
And the whole time Miles was trying to figure out like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? And I mean, to me, he definitely lived up to the hype of being cool and being like, I like that he was kind of against the system, even though he
yeah,
was a part of the system, because honestly, we know a lot of people who, preach against the system, but they understand that in order to work in the world, they kind of have to be a part of it in some way, but also for him to allow Miles to, like, he would say little things and stuff, but he also allowed Miles to kind of make his own decision. And then when stuff hit the fan, he was there to be like, hey, I quit. And but he still helped them, towards the end of the movie,
yeah,
and then came back at the end before the to be continued and stuff. I thought that was pretty dope. Um, and then another character was I guess she's like an AI um Spider-Man. I think she stood out to me too because it feel like as soon as Miles met her, they instantly clicked. Obviously, probably because of like a romantic type of connection.
yeah,
Like, oh, you black, I'm black, you cute, I'm cute, or whatever. But I don't know, like that moment to me, I was like, she seemed like somebody we could mess with. And she
yeah,
was somebody we could mess with because she had one conversation with Miles
yeah.
and chose to help him when she didn't have to,
Yes.
so She stood out to me a lot. And it was this person on Twitter that said something like Miles, like his collective energy with Spider Punk and the AI Spider-Man, how they helped him immediately versus like Gwen and Peter, who were very conflicted about helping him, like that allyship and stuff. That's real life, you know?
Wow.
That's real life.
That is a really great point. That is a really great point. And it's kind of one of those, it's a wow. I didn't even think about that, but I mean it is a really great point because sometimes, you know, having allies and all this stuff like that is fine, but like the issue, because I literally was talking to somebody else the other day about when they was talking about, you know, different laws and stuff like that going into place, and literally most of the time the issue of why things stay the way they are, or people are not forced to change, is because the people that need to change still have a connection to those who consider themselves allies, aware of like that. But the moment
Mm-hmm.
that ally chooses to be neutral,
Mm-hmm.
that's almost as worse as
Mm-hmm.
those who are
Green
inflicting the,
dot.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, or whatever the case may be. And that's what they chose to be, is just like, even though Gwen knew better, and with her being young, you kind of give her a
Yeah,
partial,
yeah, I give her the benefit of the
no,
doubt because she
no.
is a child. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but the older actuals, Peter Parker is just like, bro, and you talking about like you had a child because you was motivated by him, and it's just like, but you're not doing whatever to protect him, um,
Mm-hmm.
in this sense, or and I get it. It's like it was very great to see the levels of reasoning behind Miguel's approach to things.
Yeah,
Miguel's reasoning, completely understand. You
I
have to,
do too. Yeah.
yeah,
He
you
tried to
don't,
change things and it ended horribly.
yes,
I understand.
it ended horribly, horribly. And it's like, you don't want a whole bunch of people to die. You need to make sure everything's kept intact. We've learned from multiple things back in the day to current multiverse conversations, stuff like that. They're like, hey, when the future goes to the past or vice versa or to another universe, you have to make sure that you are as careful as possible to not mess things up. So we get
Mm-hmm.
that. And so I think that was the thing that was understood, but it was very unique how they gracefully showed how the fear of control can easily make you the villain
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
any moment. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the end of the day, everybody knew that Miguel was right for what he
Yep.
was, whatever, but it was the desire of having so much control to make sure that literally nothing else happens, to make sure it stays the way it be. Like, there's literally, because I feel like you kind of get caught up in this mindset at times with us. If we get too caught up with feeling like our way is the only way to make sure things go right, or you're too fearful of deviating towards any other way to go towards, a goal or achievement or wherever like that, or keeping things intact, like you fear so much to where anything else that could make things better or whatever like that is just like, no, that's against what needs to be done, don't want to hear it. And then when it's challenged too much, then sooner or later you become the villain,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know
When you go against the status quo, you are often looked at as the villain, the bad guy, because you're not following the norm.
yeah,
And all Miles was thinking is, just because this has been tradition doesn't mean this is how it has to be. Why are we doing it this way if we can do it a different way? And
yes,
I understand and I agree with him as well. But like going back to Miguel, my whole thing with Miguel is like, why tell Miles in the first place? He was at the Spider-Man headquarters. So if you knew that his dad was about to die within the next 2 days, act like you welcoming him into the Spider-Man headquarters. And then by the time he got back home, the canon would have been intact. But
yeah,
by telling him, you thought that he was really gonna be like, So my dad gonna die and y'all don't want me to do nothing about it? Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say my dad. That makes no sense.
Exactly, exactly. And I feel that I also kind of look at it as that I think that we we didn't get to see it, but we saw a different like the Miguel that we got at the beginning of the film was not the Miguel a few months later.
I noticed that too. Like he seemed a little bit um more jaded,
Yeah,
harsh.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And I wonder if it's one of those things of putting all that responsibility on your shoulder. And then as we see
Mhm.
how massive, like we're thinking like he's giving, Gwen a hard time about trying to join and take her with it. And then we get there and it's like thousands of Spider-Man there. It's just
Right.
or Spider people there. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dude, like, come on, like, cause or just Spider peeps. I don't. It's barely people because the whole T-Rex Spider thing is
Yeah.
just wow. So, but no, like, but we did get a different one, and I will say, like, going back to the question I asked you, I enjoyed the character development between him and Gwen the most, I believe.
I
Um,
agree.
when it comes to that, I feel like they tried to do a little bit um with Miles's mom and everything like that, but I feel like at times it was just that's a lot of characters to be balancing and stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, like I feel like I really got to completely understand Miguel. I will say Spot to a little bit as well or whatever, but I do feel like at the end of the day he was a villain, and it's like he quickly grew into what he needed to be and stuff like that or whatever.
Hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, like now going back to the AI,
Hmm.
one question that came to mind that I was trying to wrap my head around is like so how much were you thrown off by the plot twist of him being on another universe? Or did you see that coming?
Um, I didn't I didn't see it coming, but I started picking up on things before it was revealed. And so I wasn't surprised once they realized it because I was like, something don't feel right. Like the way that his conversation with his mom, when she said, "Why is your hair like that?" I was like, ain't nothing wrong with his hair.
I didn't even catch that. Yeah.
So I was thrown off and kind of confused that whole part. I was like, because I'm looking at his head the whole time, like, what's supposed to be wrong with his hair?
Mm,
So I wasn't surprised that if anything, it just answered my like it helped clear up that confusion that I was having.
mm-hmm. And so, yeah, because Audrey and I was talking about it, and I was like, I feel that, like you said, he made that bond with the AI Spider Woman, and I feel like she knew that even though he wasn't going back to the universe, his actual universe, that he would be safer at that other one.
Yeah,
And
she
so
wanted to give him a fighting chance. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because she could have, well, I mean, she could have just stopped it, you know what I'm saying, completely, but she felt that no matter what, it was safer for him to go there than to go directly back to the universe
Yeah,
and definitely even,
because if she would have stopped it, then because Miguel was right there in front of him, he would have got to him if she would have stopped it. So yeah, it was safer to just
yeah,
send him and be like, "Good luck, fam, wherever you end up."
exactly. So I think one of the questions that I did have though about him being bitten by the spider from 42 is that how I guess in my head, I'm trying to figure out how did Spot know that it was Miles who became Spider-Man without his identity never being revealed and him just knowing that that spider came from another universe um is something that I'm very interested in. I don't know if I missed something, but I was
Mm.
kind of wondering how did he know that that was his dad, or am I assuming based off of what was shown is that he just planned on doing destruction and then his dad's just gonna be in the crossfire of it, you know?
No, that's actually a really good question because he said Miles destroyed the lab that he was in, but he was dressed as Spider Man. So at what point did he find out that Spider Man was Miles? Because Spider Man could have easily been Peter Parker,
Yeah.
even though Peter was dead, but still. Yeah, that's actually a good question.
Hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm very interested in that. And oh, and then also along with that, did he not already tell Miles that he got bit by 42 before Miguel said it, you know, when they was chasing him or whatever? Because I feel like he explained the reason, like his, unless he was, that was his moment, just we was in Spot's inner thoughts, and he was saying the reason why he became what he was is like this, that, and the third happened. But that was another thing. I was kind of like, what did he not tell Miles already that that's what he got bit by?
But
Um,
I thought Miles already knew that he got bit by a spider.
well, he knew, but I thought that Spot said where the spider came from, and
Oh,
maybe
okay.
maybe he didn't, but that was
But
the other.
even if he did, I don't think that I don't think he was thinking that spider wasn't meant for him.
Yeah,
Because you got to keep in mind he's a 15-year-old, and so he's like, I got
not
bit by the spider,
yeah,
and it gave me powers. It chose me. He wasn't thinking of, oh, this came from a different universe, so it really didn't choose me.
yeah, yeah, kind of like an afterthought kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But those are the only like kind of questions that I did have, and I was kind of wondering did I miss anything you know, with that. Another thing that I will say that I did like the soundtrack. I actually listened to all of it this morning,
Oh,
just on
cool.
my own outside of film. So overall, which soundtrack did you like the most? Did you like this one or did you like the last Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse?
Um, I don't remember honestly.
Sunflower. I know you remember that.
I remember Sunflower. I'm trying to remember a song that stood out to me from this one though.
Mm. I feel like it was good vibes from this one, but I don't feel like it
Yeah,
stood.
I was like, it was good vibes, but it didn't just like, stand out.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotcha,
I will
gotcha.
say like, and I mean the same could be said also of the first one, but like this cast though, like so stacked with
Loaded,
people.
loaded.
Loaded. I mean, Shamik Moore, Haley Seinfeld, Brian Tyree Henry, Jake Johnson, who else? Issa Rae, we said that earlier. Daniel, how do you say his last name?
Okoye.
Oscar, Isaac. Like, it's a ton of people in this movie. That's crazy.
Yeah. Daniel Luya. Sorry. Yeah, Daniel Luya. But
Oh,
yeah,
dude from what's that movie? Moonlight.
yeah. Jarrell Jerome. Um,
Mm-mm.
no. Oh, uh,
Ali.
oh, Mahershala. Yeah. Yeah, Mahershala.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Mahershala. Yeah, I forgot he was the uncle. Which you know he has a very distinct voice. And
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I mean, you know, Amandla. I mean, it just goes like you said, on and on and on and on and on. J.K. Simmons, I thought that was really dope that they continue to incorporate him into this universe as well. I mean, it just keeps going, and it kind of shows why it took as long as it did because you had some very big time hitters who are very busy. in the
Mm-hmm.
space. So I thought it was really dope. They did a really good job. I will honestly say how the run is going now. I haven't seen all of the animated films. We'll be watching Elemental pretty soon. Um, I think they're gonna take the Oscar again. What you think?
Oh, I definitely see that. And really, this movie needs to be nominated because, like I said earlier, I was going back and forth between like, how is this a cartoon movie? Because it's so good, it's so complex. But then some of the things that they were able to do as Spider-Man, they just wouldn't be able to do it as well visually,
Yeah,
live action. And so it made sense to be an animated film, but man, this movie, the writing, the acting, the music, like everything just amazing. The overall direction of it,
yeah.
the visuals, it was a really good film. And if it doesn't get nominated, that's wow.
Nah, it's definitely gonna get nominated, Blaze. I'm gonna say it now. I don't know if I ain't gonna probably win nothing. I ain't gonna win the prize, but I'm gonna say it now. I believe that this film will win Best Animated Movie
Yeah.
for Oscar. I feel like it'll win. Um, and I'm also just interested to see and what other avenues that it will, show up as we get closer to the award season, because should be starting in the fall. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Screen at this Guild is usually in the fall, I think,
I think so.
or a couple of them and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see how it goes. So, but very exciting, very thrilling, and a lot of fun with the experience of watching this film. Definitely highly recommend if you hadn't seen it or it had been so long.
Hmm.
It's just like I don't know if I'm gonna do it or not. But I highly recommend y'all check it out, and definitely let us know, what you think about this, and what you think about some of the different components of the film that you like that we brought up, and if you have any answers on the questions that we had. So because it was so much
Yeah.
in this film. So I will say the only thing I'm interested in is how they're going to make a full feature film out of what's left. That's what I'm
Hmm.
interested in, because Gwen resolves things with her dad. Um, um, we know that, Miles is in another universe, but we also have access to get to the universe now. So it's just like one of those things of like, what else is gonna be missing or gonna surprise us, or does it grow outside of not only Spot, but it goes from, like we mentioned earlier, Miguel starts off as a hero and has good intentions, but does he just completely let himself go and become a villain, and
Hmm.
stuff like
And
that?
what's it gonna take for the other Spider-Mans that didn't join Gwen at the end? What's it gonna take for them to be like, hey man, this ain't it?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I'm also interested to see I believe that the Miles on, well, 40 Universe 42 Miles, I believe he's actually going to help him get back home.
I hope so because that whole, if not, like I get it, it gives like a good conflict, a good tension, but also it's kind of stupid. Like, oh, I'm gonna attack you or kill you because you in my world now. Like that's dumb. Like, dude, just leave my world, please. How can I help you leave? Get out of my
Yeah,
life. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. I was kind of like, I don't see how this can really, and that's why I'm kind of saying, like, I don't, like, you mad because somebody that look like you is there and all you gotta do is just help them get away. It's just kind of like, why you upset kind of thing. But maybe
Hmm.
there's some character development in there that uh,
Right.
that's going to actually, not only we see with the 42 Miles, but it's actually going to benefit more character development for Miles. So maybe this one, which I feel like I would love, everything is centered back around Miles, and we get a lot of character development. So no matter what emotional things, man, are happening, it won't be lost when those points end up coming up. But I do believe that the 42 miles is going to help him. I believe it's 42, get him back into home maybe before. um, Gwen finds them and stuff like that. Because it's also one of those things too. I'm pretty sure, Miguel is going to find out that they're coming together to try. Well, he's not in the same universe, and he's going to definitely go around trying to find where he's at. I'm just kind of thinking how in the world all that's going to be resolved and then make it back in time before Spot does whatever he wants to do. Because
Right.
so that's my only thing. I feel like it's gonna be very action packed, a lot of energy, and I'm definitely looking forward to the third installment of this series. So
I am too. And I forgot to mention earlier when Miguel was showing Miles the cannon and stuff, when
yeah,
we got to see like the elements from the Toby movie and
yeah,
Andrew, I thought that was really cool.
really dope, very clever to add on. Um, just I mean, they thought of a lot of things and they incorporated, and I really love seeing projects like that. That especially if you're doing the animation project, like you approach it with the animated mind. Like we literally, with as long as it's affordable, we literally can do anything in here. So why not go
Why
all?
not? And they also had Childish Gambino or Donald
Yeah,
Glover by his government name. uh, he did a little cameo, but I like when movies and shows are meta, and I feel like that introduction of the canon was very meta. Like we don't control ourselves. There's a Spider-Man pattern. There's a Spider-Man flow that we all have to follow.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool
yeah, definitely. And if I'm
and
not mistaken,
sad.
yeah, it is sad. And but one thing I will say, Donald Glover was actually in one of the Spider-Man movies. I don't know if it was Amazing
Yeah,
Spider-Man or Homecoming. So that
he
was
was in Homecoming.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean they did a really great job. I'm looking forward to seeing what's gonna be next, and animated films, unfortunately, sometimes they take a long time, especially if you're trying to bring well, not trying, the crazy thing is they have to pretty much bring almost every single person back that's already on here.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, they may have already written it and had them to write things out, and now they
Well,
just
when I was looking up Issa earlier, it said 2024 for Between the Spider Verse.
between the
So,
Spider-Verse. Wow.
hmm
Wow. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we still got a few months where they can do some promo. I'm interested if they do decide to produce it, and they haven't announced the third one yet. Will they, if it does come out next year, will it come out in the
oh
fall?
wait, it got a release date, March 29th, 2024.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
That's what's up.
Well, hey, I mean, that's smart. I definitely think it would have been tough for them to hold out too much longer for the next one. So if that's
They
the case, they've
probably did
already
them
done.
at the same time.
Yeah, which is smart. So, well, cool. Well, I
Oh,
mean,
and by my bad, it's called Beyond the Spider Verse, not Between.
okay, Beyond the Spider-Verse. I like that. Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. Okay. Dope. Dope. Well, Sister Blaze, that's all I got for this great old film. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
Just remember that with great power comes great responsibility. And that's
Hey,
all.
I dig it. That's dope. Well, y'all, thank y'all again for listening in to another episode. I hope you enjoyed our reflection on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. We really enjoyed it, and hopefully we'll be seeing the next one pretty soon. And going to be on a small little break that may or may not, affect y'all's listening experience or whatever. But we're going to be coming back onto it headstrong going into the beginning of July. And just looking forward to continuing to talk about great film and television that's being made out there. Feel free to always make sure to follow us on all our platforms from Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We out here, okay? And so
We out
please
here. Yeah.
please feel
And
free to
shout
take.
out to everybody that's already been
Yeah,
interacting with us
exactly.
on our various social media.
Exactly. So, thank y'all, like Blaze said, for supporting us. Keep on supporting us. Feel free to, share with friends. And just doing the thing. And if, like I said, as always, if y'all have something in mind, like DM us on one of our platforms, let us know how you feel. So we can include it, and we're gonna make it a community. We just having a good time doing what we do anyway, and let's talk about great content. So but overall, I hope y'all have a good rest of the day, or whenever you're watching this. And other than that, peace.
Peace.